Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jonah from Spotlight, and today, in a minute, we are going to be diving into the topic of building an audience, how you can be smart about it, make sure that you have systems in place, make sure that you know who your target audience is, and make sure that at least on your side, you've done all the work you can to line yourself up for success so you're not just shooting in the dark when it comes to targeting your audience, engaging them, reaching out with them, creating systems of feedback, all these good things we're going to talk about. But before we dive in, please hop in the comments. Let me know that you're here, where you're tuning in from, something you're excited to learn, and maybe how you discovered Spotlight, whether you're here from past events. Past creators, if you came from any of our partner newsletters, we love to hear where you're tuning in from and what you're excited to learn. Also, feel free throughout my presentation to ask any questions you have. I'm going to try and answer them as we go, but if I don't answer your question right away, don't worry, I'm not ignoring you. I have set aside time after the presentation to answer all of the questions I can. And also, please let me know in the comments where you're at. Maybe something like if you're just starting out with your business, if you've already got a couple courses or you have a little audience. I want to make sure that all the information I give you today serves you to its fullest potential. And once again, ask any questions you have. I'm covering some basic stuff and some more advanced stuff today. So if anything feels a little basic and you want to get into more of the meat of any specific topic, hop in the comments, let me know, and we'll try and get to all of that. Just want to talk about, call out a few people. Doug, it's so awesome to see you here. Fantastic that you came from Ben Collins. I love him, done a few events with him. And I know Google Sheets may seem not like the sexiest topic, but every time it blows my mind what he's offering. Barry from Rochester, thank you for being here. April from Kansas City, love all of this. Discover Helisus, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry if I'm not. Thank you all so much for joining me. And I want to hop in, but I do want to let you know before we dive in that if any of this seems a little bit general or you want to dive deeper into any of these topics, we have been putting on a whole bunch of events over the last 2 months, diving into much more granular aspects of all of these topics. So if you enjoy what you see here today, please like and subscribe to the Spotlight YouTube. We're going to continue cranking out these events, and you can also go there to search and find all of the past events. I do want to call out a couple other people too. April was saying that you want to learn how to find high quality leads. That's awesome. We're going to be diving into some of that. And some other people are here, already launched, looking to launch, looking how to build an audience from scratch. Greg, we're totally going to get into that. Awesome. Well, it looks like we have a good group here today. So I'm going to dive in and once again, keep the comments rolling. If you see something you like, if you have any questions, if you have experience that either confirms or contradicts anything I say, we are not above any new ideas and we love hearing anything. And especially if there's any specific problems you're having with your audience or with your Teachable products or coaching courses, we love hearing what those problems are or challenges you face so that we can address them in future events or today in this event. So, all that said, let's dive in. And last but not least, there will be a replay of all of this. So don't fret if things are moving fast. So, the first thing I want to cover when it comes to building an audience, and once again, we're talking about building an audience, but not necessarily about becoming a massive influencer with hundreds of millions of followers. That may happen, but we're covering the basic side of what you need to do to make sure that you're not just shooting in the dark, that you're not working blindly, and that all that time you spend creating content, creating posts is valuable and worth your while. So, the first thing I want to talk about, like I said, is mindset. And it's really important to get your mind in the right place because your mindset is going to determine all of your actions throughout. And it's going to provide you with a baseline to make sure that any decision you make isn't just a reactionary decision, but you're thinking about all of these aspects when you do so. So these are the four main points that I want you to carry through every aspect of your audience building, whether it's the products you make, the lead magnets you create, whether it's how you interact with your customers. We really, really should be focusing on these four things. And here at Spotlight, we've worked with hundreds of creators. We've seen what works and what doesn't work. And these are the most common trends that any successful creator talks about when they talk about their mindset. So, first and foremost, you need to focus on providing value. In today's economy, in today's business, in today's just online world, value is the most powerful tool you have to build trust with your audience. It's very easy to tell people that they should trust you, but it's much easier and or it's easy to tell people they should trust you, but the way you're going to get people to trust you is by actually giving them value. So your number one tool for growing an audience will always be providing value. And what is the best way to do this? We do this by solving problems. So all of the value you provide should always be focused on solving problems. What those problems are and how to find them, we're going to talk about in a minute. But I want you to start internalizing all of these aspects as your baseline mindset moving forward. So you want to provide value, you're going to do it by solving problems. And one of the most important things you'll hear any creator say when it comes to growing an audience is you need to be consistent. Even if your consistency is once a month, so long as you can tell your audience when they're going to hear from you and how they're going to hear from you, and they can trust that you will deliver at that time, that is the first step to building trust with your audience because you're meeting an expectation you set, and that immediately builds trust. The last thing, and we're not going to get into this too much today, but I do want to make this a major point of your mindset is be authentic. I've heard a couple creators speak to this in one way or another, but essentially your vulnerability, your weaknesses, your process of learning, all of these things, they're not a weakness. They're in fact an asset. It's what makes you human, it's what makes your brand you, and you should always be looking to lean into those things that make you who you are. Because in many cases, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're not presenting necessarily new information that people couldn't find anywhere else. What we're getting into is creating our version of it and synthesizing that information in a way that people who like us or our platform or relate to us can really trust and enjoy. So, be yourself. You don't need to go out there and be anyone else or try and, create some persona unless it's really calculated. But in general, be yourself, be who you are. It's going to create that trust and make your life so much better down the line as you build an audience that trusts you, not some version of you, but who you really are. Just going to check in on the comments real quick. This is awesome. Love it. Love it. I see people from all over. That is fantastic. From Thomas Brush. We love Thomas Brush here. Pros and entrepreneurs and looking to expand my audience beyond my referral base. Fantastic. All right. So now let's dive into the actual how to. I'm going to line you up with a 4-step game plan. And once again, by the end of this, it's not like you'll magically have an audience, but if you continue to use this game plan in a cycle and continue to utilize these tools, you will have success on whatever platform you're using, so long as you create that mechanism that is working for you, that is honest and true to yourself. So, our game plan for today is to create a customer profile. We're going to research who our ideal customer is and where they hang out and what problems they might have. Then we're going to establish our benefits. Once we know our customers' problems and a little bit about them, then we're going to take those problems that we can solve and turn them into transformations. People don't want features really anymore. They don't want to buy a whole bunch of videos. They want to buy who they're going to be after you solve that problem for them. So that's how we're going to turn the problems we find into sellable benefits. Then we're going to build a system that creates a regular content for us so we can be consistent, so we can show up in those places where our audience is all the time, and make sure that we don't have to be waking up every day wondering, what email to write, what post to make. We're going to create a system that works for us, is valuable, and allows us to remain consistent without getting burnt out, because it's so easy to chase the dragon's tail when it comes to social media or any sort of marketing. And you can really end up in a hole if you don't have delivery systems set up. And then the last thing we're going to cover is how to truly serve our audience. So, not only solving those problems off the bat, but how to create feedback loops and listen and help them with their transformations and serve them your transformations that you've created for them, so that you're not only helping them with problems you've discovered, but you're allowing your audience to tell you what they need. Because that will, once you have a little audience, that will be your number one way to discover what it is your audience needs from you. All right. So let's first focus on creating a customer profile. And at any point throughout this, let me know if you know this information, if there's anything I say that's new or exciting, or if you have anything to contribute. We love and are all about learning from each other here. So use that comment section also to help everyone learn. If you have something you want to share, drop in there, let us know. So, how do we learn about who our audience is? How do we find our target persona? First, who are you helping? Narrow in on the exact person you're going to help, and others will follow. This is our process of creating this one individual. We want to create, and I'll show you in a sec, a single individual. It's a fabricated individual who represents the person that we're going to serve. And if we can serve this one person time and time again, there's going to be an audience of people like this person, and people around that person will follow. So you don't want to try and be everything to everybody. You really want to focus on being exactly the right thing for exactly the right person. So first, we're going to focus on who that person is, learn a little bit about them. Then we're going to look at, where do they hang out? What spaces do your ideal customers spend time in? You don't want to be posting on Instagram if your ideal customers are on Reddit or on YouTube. You don't want to be wasting time targeting areas where your customer doesn't spend that time. So you really want to look around and see where that person hangs out. A great way to do this is look for who they follow. If there's existing creators who have captured an audience that's already kind of a ideal audience for you, go look at those people, see what they comment, see how they interact, and that leads to, what are their habits. Once you go and look at these test audiences of other successful creators, it's much easier to focus in on, how do these people talk, what are they engaging with, and how can we use that information to better serve us as we build our customer profile. And the next step to building that customer profile is, what are their problems? There's a few ways to do this. One great way right off the bat to keep it close to home is reflect. What are the problems that people have asked you to help them solve in the past? This may seem a little backwards because we're focusing on ourselves, but what we're really doing is matching our expertise with existing desires people have already expressed. If people come to you in your community and ask for help with something, that means your community already trusts you with certain problems and certain topics. This is all wrapping into the greater part that creates this customer profile. So work with me here. Let me know if this is resonating, making sense. The next thing you can do is reach out. So ask your friends, family, coworkers, anyone in your community that might match that target persona. Reach out to them and ask what problems they have that maybe you could solve. The next step, and diving deeper, is to search. So you go into these spaces, like if you find that most of your audience or most of the creators that are successful within your niche or in your industry are on a certain platform, go to that platform, spend some time there interacting, comment on other people's comments, comment on people's posts, get engaged. Excuse me. Get engaged with this audience, but not just from the point of creating engagement. We're not just trying to trick algorithms here. We're doing research. So we're taking note of how people reach back, how people are interested, and what people are looking for from a creator. And Greg is asking a fantastic question here. How can I know if people are on Reddit or Twitter? Is there statistics somewhere? So you can start, Greg, very general and go to Google and look up questions from your industry or the problems that you're hoping to solve. And you can look at where there's active engagement about those. So if you look up, I come from an audio engineering background. So if I was trying to solve the problem of people choosing which software to use, I could look in Google and say, what software to use for audio engineering? That's going to give me Reddit threads, Facebook groups, and other creators and solutions people have found that are going to show that audience interacting in those spaces. And so we're not just looking for where that audience is, but also what kind of part of that audience lives there. So if you find that in the Reddit threads for these topics, you're getting people that are engaged, but not necessarily your kind of target customer who you want to help, whether that's their age or demographic, then you might look elsewhere. Greg, it is going to take a minute to find these people, and the other number one thing is coming back to that point. Look at other creators who have built successful audiences. See where they direct people. Are they building Discord groups? Are they building Facebook groups? Are they in Reddit? Likeliness is if you're looking at a highly successful creator that already has a large audience, if they're engaging or directing people into specific platforms, they've likely done the research already. So you don't need to start from scratch. Look at these other people's platforms, see where they're engaging, see where they're putting their energy, and try and focus there. Look if your audience is there, and don't just show up and like snoop around. You want to engage people. Ask them, "Hey, why are you here? What was the value of this? Hey, do you like this more than following this person on YouTube?" Ask people, engage them, be a curious individual, and see how everyone interacts. 100% Greg. Keep those questions coming. I love questions like that. Often this stuff is a bit of an amorphous blob when you're starting to wrap your head around it. So, welcome to all those questions. So once we've gone through this process of kind of searching around for who our customer might be and what problems they have, we want to create a customer profile. And once again, this is a fictional profile, but this imaginary person is going to serve as our number one person to serve. This is also not a set in stone profile. It may change over time as your platform grows or you hear back from more people. You might alter this profile. But whenever we're making decisions about what to post, how to write about it, or any of those aspects, we want to be serving this person, because if we serve this one person, there's other people like it, and we're going to grow an audience around this individual. So along with working for Spotlight and for Teachable, I also have my own platform as a music producer and audio engineer and music educator. And so this is straight from my customer profile as I was building a course on music production. So this is David. And after researching all the spaces David hang out in and all of this, I created this profile. And David is the guy I'm trying to serve throughout my entire process as I build my products and grow my audience. So, just to give an example, I wrote this little blurb to kind of make David a real persona in my head. Hi, I'm David. I've been playing guitar for over a decade and have always relied on other musicians, producers, and engineers to record my music. I've been starting to mess around with recording myself, but get lost in the rabbit hole of YouTube trying to figure out why nothing I make sounds like I want it to. So I hope you can see within this sentence, within this little or paragraph, I've tried to capture all of the elements: who David is, how long he's been engaging in my industry, and what problems he has that I can solve. So this target persona shouldn't just be like, "Hi, I'm Jane and I love to bake." Like, you need to lock into this paragraph and into this persona who this person is, where they hang out. I mentioned YouTube. This person spends a lot of time on YouTube looking for things. And I also mentioned the problem they have. They've been recording for a long time, but also they are having trouble doing it on their own. That's where I can come in and help them solve that problem. So, before we move on, let me know if this resonates, if any part of this process doesn't make sense. I know there's a little bit of a delay with the comments, so be patient with me if I don't get to something right away. But I want to make sure that you can see how I took this information that I grabbed from my research and from my engagement and put it into this fictional person that represents my audience that I can serve. I also want to call out that this is not just something that I'm recommending you do. This is what major companies do. This is what any marketing firm will have on hand as they build their systems and strategies. They have these personas and they use these personas to target greater audiences because they know that if they can serve that one person, they can serve a whole bunch of others. So let's keep going here. We create our customer profile, and once again, it is a living document. It's going to change over time. I regularly update my customer persona as I learn more about my customers. So, the next thing to do once you've found your customer and the problems they face is establish your benefits. So, we're going to take those problems that we can solve and turn them into transformations. And how are we going to do this? We're going to do this with benefits based copywriting. If you don't know what copywriting is or copy, I'm going to refer to that a few times in the next few minutes. Copywriting or copy just refers to the text based language that you use throughout your platform. So these could be captions, they can be YouTube descriptions, your emails, anywhere where there is written language showing up or scripts or anything that is written down is copy. And copywriting is the process of writing copy. Hopefully that all makes sense. And yes, I just want to call out quick. Carol is saying universities also build student profiles when creating courses. 100%. And oh, there's a bunch of great comments coming in. Kelly is saying, I work in digital marketing and we create multiple personas for each client to better understand how to optimize a website. Yes. So I love this validation. We're 100% doing this throughout the process. Sorry to distract you. Are you creating a persona fitting your product, or are you transforming a real problem into a persona? If it sound correct. So, Greg, I think it's a little bit of both, if I understand what you're asking. I don't want you to think of this as necessarily a linear path. I have to do that in order to present this event today, but this is going to be a cyclical evolving process. So we create at first I want you just to create a persona that you can serve and focus on a few problems, maybe two or three problems this person has. And those should work together. As you learn new problems, that'll inform your personas. As your persona evolves, that'll inform new problems you can solve. So it is a rotating cycle, not a linear path. Anyways, as we learn about these problems, we're taking these problems and turning it into benefits, ways and forms of transformation that we can promise people. So, who they are before they encounter our products and our platform, and who they are after. And what you want to look for when you're creating benefits based copywriting, once again, your captions, your emails, your newsletters, your blogs, all of these aspects, and especially your sales pages, points where you're really leaning into sale, is sourcing the problem. So, benefits based copywriting, you know you're on the right track when it forces you to focus on your customers' pain points. You're also going to capture emotion. You want to demand that your customers' emotional needs and desires are met. You want to make sure that you are targeting not only just their problems, but also their emotional attachment to these problems. I'm going to give you some clear examples in a minute here. The other beauty of benefits based copywriting is it also inspires real solutions. When you're focused on the problems and people's emotional attachment to those problems, it requires you to craft your sales around fixing problems rather than a fancy pitch. You're not trying to trick people into buying your product. You're honestly just showing them how your product or your platform or whatever solution you've created solves that problem. So it's a real thing. It's not any icky type of selling. You're in there in the pits with those people working hard to create solutions to the problems they have. And your copy should show that. It should represent that. And the last thing that I really, really love about benefits based copywriting is it inspires you to deliver on your promises and create stellar products, right? If we're promising people that they're going to be a different person after they engage with our products or our platform, we have to deliver on that. It's not a small promise. We're not saying, here, buy a fidget spinner and you give me 15 bucks and I give it to you. We're saying our products are everything we've built is here to help you become the person you want to become in this little area or this little niche. By solving this problem for you, you'll be closer to being that ideal person you want to become. That means we have a little bit of weight on our shoulders, but I think that's good because when it comes to selling our products down the line and really promoting ourselves, if we believe that our transformations are real and our copy promises those things, we're going to create better products and we're going to be truly accountable to our customers, which will also create not just a large audience, but an audience that trusts and engages with us, which is really everything we're getting at here today. You can have a big audience, but sell to very little of them if they don't truly trust you and understand that you're solving problems for them. So let's look at how this actually plays out in real life. So I am using some of the copy from my sales page on my course on Teachable as an example, but we're going to start with feature-based copywriting and work towards the emotional route. So I want to give you some actionable methods for taking your captions or any of these feature-based sales concepts and turning them into actual benefits-based copy. So for example, a feature might be 20 hours of hands on instructional videos walking you step by step through producing your own song. So I wrote this for David, right? I'm trying to tell David how the course I made for him is going to affect his life. But all I'm telling him here is what's in there. So we got to dig a little deeper. Why is this here? Why is this text even on my sales page? Why is this text even on my captions that I promote my course with? Well, I want to provide clear, actionable, and relevant instructions for anyone learning how to produce their own music. That's why I have this copy here. So it's important to say, why is this text here? Because if you can't justify it, get rid of it. People are skimming half the time. We want to be straight to the point and impactful. So we have to dig a little deeper still to get to the point of this. What's in it for your customer? Well, my course is going to allow for focused learning without having to scour YouTube for bits and pieces of potentially relevant information, right? I'm trying to say, look, you don't need to go out there and look up all of this stuff. If you just buy my course, I've done all of that. I've spent over a decade, over 15 years scouring through all of this information, studying with mentors, going to school, working my butt off to create this wealth of information that I'm going to deliver to you in a clear, concise, and impactful way. So, and Sarah, so nice to see you there. Sorry, I got to call out Sarah because she's always so present in these events. It's a delight to see you here, Sarah. Um, then let's wrap this all together. So we go from a feature, we got to diagnose why it's there, we got to dig into what's in it for your customer, and at the end, we can target the emotional route. So I don't want to tell David 20 hours of hands-on instructional videos walking you step by step through producing your own music is what's in my course, come buy it. I want to focus deeper. So on my sales page and my captions, we take that feature and we turn it into an emotional route. So I want to tell David, stop wasting time searching for tools you need and start focusing on bringing your musical genius to life. I've targeted his problem. He feels like he's wasting time and getting nowhere. And I've given him the solution, the transformation that after you engage with my course, you're going to be focused on your musical genius rather than finding all the information you need, right? So hop in the comments, let me know if this is resonating, if this is making sense. I'm going to give one more example here. um I want to, okay, I love Elena is asking a question here. What is the result that people get from your focused content? that seems to be an even more important detail to feature in your landing page. How do you feature results too? So, Elena, maybe you can clarify a little bit more, or maybe you're just talking along with me here because it seems like we're affirming each other here. I love this kind of thinking, and I would even argue that start adjusting your internal mindset and language to focus more on, rather than saying features, focus on benefits, rather than saying result, focus on transformation. So we're really diving into how people are before our product or any piece of copy we use and how they are after. So, once again, I just want to give you a little more of a process for turning maybe your existing features into benefits and how we could do this. So, on the left, we have what I started with when I went out to write my sales page for my course. When you enroll in this course, you'll get access to 100 hours of instructional videos, weekly live Zooms, sessions with your instructor, over 80 downloadable worksheets and templates, and access to a community of students. And these are all features, but they're not actually what the person is getting out of it in their life and who they're becoming. So we turn this into transformational copy by focusing again on those benefits and that transformation. So I turn that into, when you're a member of the Become Your Own Producer community, you become an industry ready producer with all the tools you need at your disposal, a valued member of a thriving community with the opportunity to bounce ideas off of like minded producers, a master of your industry with in depth knowledge of every aspect of the music production business, and a thriving collaborator with a network of equally driven musicians and producers. So, is this making sense? Is this resonating? Are you seeing what we're doing? On the left, we're talking all about what's in the course, and there might be a place for that somewhere on your sales page or in a very specific place where someone's ready to check out, but they just want to know the details. But the transformational copy is where we're really, really focusing on letting our audience know how we're going to impact their lives. And as we build trust with our audience and as we work towards selling to them, not that that's always the goal, but as we're building that trust, we really need to tell them why we're emotionally invested in changing their aspect. So, oh, this is fantastic. Music by Kajiro is saying, I'd say you need both copies. People with an analytical mindset prefer to see feature-based info. 100%. So this is, you're going to need to be discerning about where you have that feature-based copy, because Music by Kajiro, you're 100% correct. There are people who, when it comes to the point of sale, are going to want to see exactly what's in there. But I would argue that as a general mindset, and when it comes to building an audience, which is our focus here, transformational copy is going to build that trust, get people on board with your platform, get people interested. And when they're ready to click the buy button or getting ready to click the buy button, that's where that feature based copy can come in so they know exactly what they're buying. You can think about this with any brand. You're going to go to the store and be looking for soda, and all of the marketing that those brands have done over the years is probably going to be what draws you emotionally to a specific soda. But then if you're on a certain diet or have health restrictions, that's when you're going to want to dive in and look at the actual ingredients list or the features to see how that works. So for the most part, you don't see Coca-Cola out there saying like, Coca-Cola, here's all our ingredients and the health benefits. You're seeing them creating an emotional relationship with the polar bear and Santa Claus and all of these aspects. And then when it comes down to it, if you're a really discerning analytical buyer, they need to have the ingredients on there, both for health reasons, but also so you can know if that's the right product for you. So, Music for Kajero, that's a fantastic point to bring up. I'm glad you did. I hope my clarifying gets a little closer to why I think transformational copy is powerful when it comes to building your audience. All right. So once we create our customer profile, once we establish our benefits, so turn all of the features, the problems we can solve into actual transformations, the next thing you need to do is establish your system of delivery. And my favorite way to do this is with two primary tools. The first is a content strategy grid. This may seem pretty simple. It may seem like a no brainer, but you would be surprised how many creators I talk to who are sitting there going, I don't know what to post. I don't know how to reach my audience. I don't know all this, who haven't done this little step, and it makes such a difference. So feel free to screenshot this or put it full screen if you need a little more. This and the content calendar I'm going to show are both available for you in the excuse me, in the free PDF that we have in the description called How to Sell an Online Course. There's a link to both of these there, and it's completely free for you to use. It'll copy directly over to your drive, and you can fill all of this in, or you can create one for yourself. Excuse me, got a frog in my throat, talking a lot. But basically, what the content strategy grid is there for is so that you never have to wonder, what is it I'm gonna post? So this is what I built for myself. And on the left, far left, you're gonna see I have the 4 different mediums that I can post in. So image, video, text, and then reposting other people's content. And then on the top, I have genres. So music industry tips, music industry updates, works in progress. So things I'm working on, and then personality based. So making sure to stay authentic with just those things that are going to be, showing off who I am and how I interact with the world as part of that means of building trust with our audience. So you don't have to stick to this 100% all the time, but you want to go in and drop in examples of what this could look like for yourself, so that you're never stuck wondering what it is you post next, what it is like, what your next newsletter will be. You always have a bank of information to say, okay, yeah, I can do a video about highlighting the recent changes in copywriting law for streaming services, or okay, I could do a text example of good versus bad lyrics, in my opinion, right? I'm just giving myself regular forms of content that I can send out on whatever platform it is I choose. So, whether you're doing newsletters and focusing on email, whether you're doing Instagram, TikTok, anything like that, creating a grid like this is so valuable. And even if you're only dealing in 1 or 2 mediums, I still highly recommend doing this, just again, so that when the inspiration doesn't strike, when those days come where you're wondering, how do I keep regular and keep consistent? You have this as a fallback. It's also going to help you create a lot of clarity on your platform as you refine this over time. The next thing you need is, once you have your content strategy grid, you now need to put that on a calendar. So this is a rather robust and I would say, um, what's the word I'm looking for? This is maybe more than you need to do. You don't need to be posting 5 times a day. You don't need to be, or 5 times a week. You don't need to be posting every day. Honestly, once again, consistency is about regularly showing up at the time that works for you, not necessarily showing up every freaking day at the most point. It's just being consistent so your audience knows what to expect from you. But once you have all of these posts and this information, what you can and what you will post that fits everything we've talked about, solving people's problems, putting it into a transformation, then you can lay it across a calendar and say, I'm going to post these things on these days. Now, this lines you up for success by giving you accountability to do so. But if you've ever tried to do this right off the bat and just posting natively within apps, it's easy still to fall off the wagon when it comes to keeping consistency. So once you have your content calendar, you need scheduling platforms. So many people, beginning creators I've seen, are trying to work all of their newsletters or their Instagram or their TikTok or whatever platform it is you choose. They're trying to do it every day just manually, and that will burn you out. No questions. Sonia was saying, where can I find the PDF again? The PDF is in the description. It's called How to Sell an Online Course. Totally free. Don't even have to put in your email there. It's just there for you. So these scheduling platforms, if you're focused on email, there's MailChimp, ConvertKit, Flowdesk. These are just a couple examples. Ultimately, don't get too hung up on which platform you use. Just start with one. You can always migrate later if you find something that works better. And the real important thing is just that you get comfortable and familiar with this idea of sitting down once or twice a month and saying, this is what the month is going to look like, scheduling all of that out so that you don't have to sit there every day posting or writing emails. And you can put a focused couple hours a month or a week into planning your schedule. And the rest of the time, you either forget about it, or when you're inspired and want to post additional content, you're just adding even more. But at least you've created a baseline of consistency that your audience can regularly expect valuable content from you. And I will say that all of this still should lead back to email. So whether you build an audience on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, wherever you build your audience, you need to have systems to get that back to email. And you need to be focused on this value based marketing approach where we're giving value in exchange for initially emails. So a lot of people will start thinking about follows as an exchange. That may be a little. At first you might be just asking people to follow you, and that feels like an exchange, but the real value comes in once you've grown a little audience. It could be tens of people, 20 of people. You need to start saying, okay, I'm going to give you additional value in exchange for your email. And just to outline why email is so important, it's the only platform that you can own 100% yourself. You're not subject to any other platform's control if they change their terms of service or how the platform operates. And more than anything, it's the most direct way to talk to your customer. You show up right in their inbox, they can reply to you easy. Everyone just about who's online knows how email works. And so you're also not asking your audience to get on another platform to engage with you. Everything should lead back to email. So we can think about this if you've never seen in a funnel. And if you're new to this concept or it's not quite enough like information, what we're covering today, we did a whole event called The Power of Building an Email List. It's on our YouTube, and we went much more in depth about how this works. But essentially, you want to think about your platform and your value marketing as a funnel or a flywheel. There's a few different models, but essentially, at the top, you're reaching wide. So your Instagram posts, or if you're running ads, those wide base, you're just reaching for a bunch of people, anyone who might be interested in you and your brand and the problems you're trying to solve. And as you work down your funnel, you get closer and closer to the point where you actually sell to that person. And then after you've sold to that person, you reward that person so they go talk to other people about it, and you grow your audience not only online, but also through word of mouth. So, as we think about funneling people from our other platforms towards our email, and then from the email, rewarding them by being part of our newsletter, we're wondering right off the bat, I'm sure, in that top part where we want to get someone from awareness, knowing about our brand, to consideration. So, giving us their email. How do you do this? So, there's a bunch of ways to get someone to give you their email. And again, I'm not saying like trick them into give you their email. This value-based marketing, we're giving people solutions so that they engage with our platform and our products. So these are just 5 ways. And Greg, I think it was Greg who was saying you're looking for how to find high value leads. Well, I'll get to the last 2 here, but I believe that there's a lot of options and opportunity nowadays to get really high value leads coming in. But here's just a few ways that you can promise value to your potential customers or your audience so that they're interested in joining your email list. You can create a PDF. So if I went and did my research, found out my target persona, David, is looking for which software he should use to produce his own music, I can write a PDF that walks through why I think a certain software is best for him. I can put links to where to download the software. There's a lot of opportunity to work that in. And yes, I do see a couple questions. I'm going to get to them in a second. But just a simple PDF can be a great easy way to create value. And then you say, if you want this PDF, please exchange your email. It's free, but I want you to get engaged with my products and I want to give you more value in the future. So it costs your email to download this PDF. Another way to do that is in newsletters. So you simply tell people that by signing up for my email list, I'm going to give you regular value in this sort of form or format. You can expect industry updates, you can expect tips and tricks, you can expect exclusive PDFs, any sort of value. A newsletter and PDF work great as very top of the funnel options. The other thing you can do is live events, just like this one, and say, I'm hosting a live event on this topic. I'm going to solve this problem for you. And in order to attend, I need your email so I can send you the link to either Zoom or StreamYard like we're using today. So live events are a fantastic way to grow your audience. You're simply saying, on this date and this time, I'm going to be talking about this. Come join in exchange for your email. Coaching is a more hands-on, but another fantastic way to get emails. So a little more in depth, say with a live event, if you're just talking to the audience or replying to comments like I am here, coaching might look more like one-on-one Zoom sessions or with a small group of people. So you could say there's 10 spots available this Friday. I'm going to be talking about music production tips to up your production, and I need your email, and you can even charge a little email and $20 for those 10 spots. Come join. Those 10 emails may seem like you're putting in a lot of work just for those 10 emails, but if someone both gives you their email and shows up to that coaching session, that's a high value lead. So, Greg, I think live events and coaching are a fantastic place to collect high value leads because you're not only getting people's investment of their email, you're also getting the investment of their time. They're showing up to the event, they're engaging in the event, and they want to know who you are and learn more directly from you. So you know that person's going to be interested in your products down the line. And last but not least, and my personal favorite is mini courses. So building small bite-sized courses. These are courses that could take 20 minutes to a half hour to go through. They can be made up of 30-second to 2-minute videos, really bite-sized content that provides instant solutions to people's problems. The beauty of mini courses is, uh, I think, why they're one of my favorites is they get people on your platform where you might be offering future coaching or course products. They get people engaged with you and how you teach without you having to be there, but with the opportunity to provide a lot of value. You are able to start segmenting people in your audience because you can provide targeted links and tracking throughout your course to see who's engaging in what content and try and deliver them with additional features or other content that might be more valuable to them. And you can upsell them on your other products within the course. So mini courses are super valuable. And by the end of someone going through your course, if someone finishes your whole course and gets a lot of value out of it, to me, that's one of the number one ways to get a high value lead. You know that person is engaged and invested a lot of time into your product. And even if your mini course only takes a half an hour to get through, that person sat down, was engaged, cared a lot, and enjoyed your process. So they are going to be engaged. So let me know if you're already doing some of these, if there were any lead magnets that I didn't focus on here or put out. I love learning when people are working on other things I didn't expect. The last thing I want to say when it comes to lead magnets or content in general, however you're delivering, please make sure to recycle your content. So if you have a newsletter, and on the left, if you have a newsletter that you write once a month, and in that newsletter this month you tackled which software people should use for recording, then go live on Instagram later that week. Go just answering people's questions about which software they should use. Then turn that into a blog post that highlights which software people should use and take sections of that blog post and turn them into Instagram posts or stories telling people guiding on the same path to transformation, which software they should use. There's no reason you should be starting from scratch for every platform. You have to be reusing this content, and any successful creator utilizes this. I guarantee you, there is no creator out there with a large audience who is making money who isn't reusing content at every possible opportunity. This is how you capture multiple audiences. And also, in most cases, people need to hear something a few times before it really settles in. So, also, don't worry about reposting old content. You're not spamming anyone, especially if you're talking about Instagram and TikTok or YouTube, any of these places where content lives. It is super important to be reposting old content because in most cases you only reach maybe 2 to 10% of the people who follow you. And if you get any additional, like, outside of your audience from hashtags and stuff, you're going to need to push a lot to be higher in those hashtag trains and everything. So before we move on, I just want to make sure I get to a couple of these questions because this was a big section here. So April will say, my challenge seems like those on social media are so used to getting information for free that they don't engage much with content. So, April, that is totally a valid point, and I think it is something that many creators are suffering with or dealing with. It's not suffering, it's a challenge. What I've seen really work is leaning more into your authenticity. So, April, if you find that the information you're presenting isn't necessarily resonating, play around with how you present it and how you presented it, like you specifically, how you synthesize this information. When I was teaching guitar lessons, I would often ask my students to, I would teach them something and I would ask them, how would you teach this to someone else? And that would force my students both to resynthesize the information and also figure out how, and then I could figure out how much they had actually learned, because it's one thing for them to regurgitate the information, but if they found a new way to explain something, then I really knew they learned it. So keeping that in mind as you go out and try and teach people or solve their problems, really play around with a few different ways of presenting that information, because that is ultimately how you'll lock in and find what way resonates best. And you may have to have a few different ways that really works. So Greg was asking, isn't a short video on YouTube or Instagram more efficient than mail? People tend to have hundreds of email for professional or private with all newsletters. Isn't that true? So Greg, Instagram and YouTube are fantastic for acquisition. So getting people onto your email list, that's a great way to do it. We have to use some more open platforms. You know, email doesn't have discovery functions. You can't be just, no one's going to just discover your email list without you putting it out there. So it's all part of the process. You make posts on YouTube and Instagram to get more discovery and to provide value out there for people who may not have engaged with you otherwise, but they're already on those platforms. But then in your link descriptions, in your events, you want to be pointing to your email list, because when the time comes to actually sell to people, email is still the number one marketing platform on actually converting your audience to customers. So even if you're not emailing anyone right away, and even if it's just functions you have set up, to be honest, I don't send hardly any emails out, but I have a ton of opportunity for people to join my email list, because I know that when it's time to sell my products, email is going to be my number one most powerful tool. And once again, even if you're on those platforms like Instagram and YouTube or all these other places where you might have success at first, those success points in your system, the algorithms can change. Everything could be taken away in a moment from you. So even if you're growing on those platforms, it all has to lead back to email if you want to build a business that's actually going to be successful and that you own, because that email is the only platform you can 100% own for yourself and have a valuable personal connection with those people. So that said, Greg, you don't want to be just hitting people up every day by email once you have them on your email list. You want to respect email as also the number one most private way and personal way to connect to your clients. So if you're doing a newsletter, I wouldn't do more than once a week, maybe even twice a month, maybe even once a month. And that should just be part of the value. So you're out there on other platforms capturing people and getting them to your lead magnets. Your lead magnets are going to capture emails by delivering value. And then your email, whether it's newsletters or updates, keeps people on your email list by respecting their time and providing more value so that when you're ready to sell, it's time to sell and you can target those people and say, look, I don't bother you that much, but now I think I have something really valuable for you. So hopefully that makes sense, Greg. No problem. I love all the questions you're asking. We are running up on time here shortly. I've tried to answer questions as we go. So let's dig in to the last thing, which is once you have created your customer profile, once you establish your features as benefits and transformations, once you've built your system that actually delivers regularly, it is time to serve your audience. Sorry, I'm trying to keep eyes on the comments and talk at the same time. Carol, I'll answer that question in a second. Um, it's time to serve your audience. And in the process of doing so, you need to make sure to create feedback loops, listen, and help them with your transformations. And it's so important to create opportunity for people to engage and comment because at first, you'll be having to do the research about what problems people have and how to dig into them. But once you even get a little bit of an audience and you start engaging them, your job gets so much easier because people start telling you what it is they want, and all you have to do is deliver it to them. So, by creating channels for feedback and engagement, we create a system that allows that crowdsources people's problems in our audience directly to us. So we no longer have to be doing the research as much, and we can focus on delivering the value and content that our audience wants from us. Just to give an example of what this looks like. So, I recently did a TikTok post. I love TikTok for its ability to so quickly do this, but you can create these channels by in your newsletter asking people to reply with any questions, on Instagram asking people to comment, right? You always want to be asking people what else they want, what more they need from you. But I made an original post that was just about how to do a specific keyboard command in Logic Pro. And that posted pretty well and got quite a few comments. One person from the comment commented, can I ask or can I tell them how to do alternatives, which is a method of saving your projects within Logic Pro. So then I made a video about that. Then I wrote a blog article that took both of these solutions and used it to explain why I think Logic Pro is the best music production software for people to use, whether you're beginners or professionals. So, once again, you see, we're creating a cycle here. So, the cycle of reposting content not only works so that we don't work as hard, but it also works to create this feedback loop where we post something, we ask people what they think about it, we take what those people say about what we post, we turn it into new content and deliver it back to them. And you would be surprised how quickly that can create a feedback loop where your audience is building trust and engaging with you. And man, when I can tell you the comments I've gotten when I repost answering someone's question and solving their problem, it is amazing how grateful people are. And the minute that that gratitude comes in, it makes everything so much easier and so much more worth it. The last thing I want to say is just to have fun with it. This really can be fun and it shouldn't be a chore. And if there's anything I want to get out of today, it's that you feel like you have clarity on what your target persona is, what problems of theirs you're trying to solve, and the systems you can use so that you're not feeling like this is all a chore. I used to think for years that everything social media was going to be such a hassle and such a pain. And just, it was always just this thing that bogged me down. And once I got my head clear on who I'm serving, the problems of theirs I'm trying to solve, and developed and set up those systems so that I'm not chasing my tail daily to stay consistent, it started becoming really fun because you start realizing that tons of people don't know a lot of things you know, and they're overjoyed when you can teach them to them. So it really, really can be a blast. And last thing, I want to take this question from Carol Cooper, was asking, what platforms are you using today? So Carol, I am primarily focused on TikTok, YouTube, and then email. So I I am quite active on TikTok, and then I am building a catalog of YouTube videos that I'm going to start putting out soon. I wanted to have a backlog of YouTube videos so I wasn't chasing my tail all the time. And then both of those platforms will deliver people to my email list. I'm also on Instagram, but I really don't focus on that. And the one thing I would tell you is just, if there's anything I've learned from any successful creators and from my own journey, it's just to focus on one or two platforms at a time. So, yes, I have the system set up so that people who find me on YouTube or TikTok will end up on my email list. But at the moment, I'm really not focused on serving that email list at the moment. I just want to get people there. And down the road, as I actually have things to sell, that's when I'll start delivering there. So focus on one or two platforms because it's really common for creators to go out there and be like, I need to be everywhere all at once, and then perform poorly on all of those different platforms. So if you have two to three at most platforms that you're focused on, you can create these repost loops and these feedback loops so that one piece of content ends up in all those places, and you're focusing on building an audience that trusts you. If you can build a dedicated audience on any one platform, you can then move that audience over to other platforms. That's much more effective than focusing on a bunch of platforms at the same time, trying to figure out how they all work. So, once again, just want to return to these guiding principles. And I want you to hop in the comments. Let me know if this all ties back, if this makes sense, if you got value from this today. I want to make sure that today and in future events, I'm helping you all grow. And even if I'm just reminding you things of things you already know, this is the mindset and the guiding principles that we want to have throughout this whole process. We want to provide value, solve problems, be consistent, and be authentic. Because at the end of the day, the authenticity is what makes your brand. So there's a few people that commented or had questions about why their content isn't resonating. Really ask yourself if you're presenting those things in the way that you learn them, in the way that you solve problems, in the way that you truly resonate with the information you're giving, and work on bringing that authenticity to life, especially if you're not used to being in front of a camera or on social media. It's going to take a minute, but the more you lean into who you really are and presenting that to the world, the more you're going to build an audience that resonates with you. So, if you're here today and you had a good time, let me know in the comments. I appreciate all of you so much for being so active and so engaged. I hope I offered all of your questions, and let me know if you have any more questions. I hope this was valuable. Before we all leave today, I am thrilled and wanted to offer you one more offer. This is something I'm super excited to give you today. So, you may be here from another channel, you may be here from Spotlight, but if you're here today, you're likely interested in building your online business. And a huge part of building an online business can be building online courses. If nothing else, using mini courses, whether they're free or cheap, as lead magnets is super powerful. And Teachable is by far the world premier service for doing so. And Teachable has put together a resource for you so that in 30 days, you can outline your course, film your lecture, and learn how to sell, all with expert step-by-step guidance from the Teachable team. So rather than going out and just getting started on your own, Teachable has built the Launch Accelerator Challenge, which is a 30-day program for anyone on any paid plan that gets you rolling. And in a month, you can have a course ready to either pre sale or ready to use as a lead magnet. So, with the Launch Accelerator Challenge, you're going to get community. You're going to be dropped into Teachable U, which is a community of like minded creators and specialists who are ready to share their best practices and network with you, and access to exclusive content also in that community by Teachable. You're also going to get step by step training. I wish I had had this when I started building my courses. I've gone through the Launch Accelerator. It's incredibly helpful to have help from the people who built the platform you're building on. They help you choose your topic, how to create your videos, how to grow your audience, and so much more. And last but not least, you're going to get access to award winning support. So, customer service will be there over email throughout the entire process to make sure that you're having success in building your course and having a up and running course, whether it's a mini course or a full level course, in only 30 days. Once again, you're going to get this by joining any of Teachable's paid plans. The Launch Accelerator Challenge will come along with any of those paid plans. And if you're worried about it, don't fret because they have your back. There is a 30-day guaranteed money back. So after 30 days, going in the Launch Accelerator, if you aren't satisfied, if you don't end up with a course, if you put in the hard work, but you thought that Teachable didn't make that work for you, you can get your money back. So there's really absolutely no risk and no questions asked. You can sign up for any of those paid plans today with the link in the description. It's the first link right there. And today, right now, we are offering $10 off any paid plan for a full year. So that's up to like $200 in savings depending on the plan, but you're going to save, well, I guess it's $120 that you can save for a full year by joining any of the paid plans. And once again, from the basic to the business plan, it's all the same. All of them will get access to the Launch Accelerator Challenge, and you can upgrade or downgrade at any time. And if you're not ready to do that, but you just want to get on the Teachable platform and play around, below that in the description, you can sign up for a free Teachable account. However, you won't have access to the Launch Accelerator Challenge. So even if you're starting with the basic plan, I highly recommend getting on the platform, seeing what products you can create, along with mini courses as lead magnets. You can create a beautiful homepage to showcase your business and your products with a lead capture form. You can also create coaching products, and a bunch of other tools are available there to help you build an online business focusing on educating and solving people's problems. And even if you have a brick and mortar business and online is just complementary, having lead magnets that are mini courses or coaching products to complement your brick and mortar business are a fantastic way to diversify. So, if you're anything like me and you want to work for yourself and build a business that works for you, whether it's full time or as your side hustle, sign up for the Launch Accelerator Challenge today by joining any of Teachable's paid plans, and you'll get $10 off any of those paid plans for a full year. And give yourself the opportunity to start out on the platform with success and not from scratch by getting help from folks who work on the platform that you're working on. It's the best way to get a kickstart, and it's where you're also going to get a lot more of hands-on, in-depth, step-by-step knowledge for all of these aspects. So, that is all the time I have for today. Once again, thank you so much for joining me. The link again for the Launch Accelerator Challenge and to join any of those plans from Teachable is the first link in the description. I did also want to call out in the description, we also have a link to that PDF I mentioned, How to Sell an Online Course, that goes into much more depth about a lot of the aspects we talked about today, gives resources to past events with successful creators talking about their methods and ways you can use them, as well as a link to that content calendar and strategy grid. That's all packed within that free PDF. It's called How to Sell an Online Course, and it's in the description. And if you're interested in getting started on Teachable, but you're not quite sure what your product is or any of that yet, we built a mini course perfectly for you. It's called Establish Your Internet Home Base on Teachable. It's a 5-day challenge where we teach you how to build a homepage that represents beautifully your brand and your business with a custom domain and a lead capture form. So at the very least, you have a place to point your potential customers or audience where they can see who you are and they can sign up for your email list so that you can make this whole content chain really work for you. So if you're already working on Instagram or TikTok or these other platforms, YouTube, but you don't have a place where people can sign up for your email list and be interested and join your email list for future products, I highly recommend joining that mini course. By the end of it, you will have that homepage you can send people to where they can sign up for your email list and be part of your greater ecosystem where you can be building an audience smarter, not harder, that's actually going to trust and engage with you down the line. Once again, yes, music by Kajero. These headphones are incredibly soft and they've been cradling my ears delightfully like little clouds throughout this whole event. Thank you, everyone, for staying with me for this whole hour. I hope it was helpful. Let me know if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay. If you have any more comments or questions for me, and like and subscribe to the Spotlight YouTube channel if you had a good time today, and hit the notification so you get notified about future events, because we are weekly doing at least 2 to 3 of these events, trying to dive into all of the aspects of building an online business and make sure that it's easy as possible for you, and to share all of the valuable knowledge we've learned over the years with you so you don't have to make all of the mistakes that are easy to make when you're just starting out on your own and don't know quite where to go. So we're dedicated to helping you solve your problems. Let us know what they are. Let us know what challenges you face. And if you had a good time, please let us know in the comments. It's always a blast hanging out with you. And I'll see you soon. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you for being here.